The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café.
Welcome to this episode of Pit Life BBQ. Gather round the pit with your hosts, Johnny Maggs and Greg the Barbecue Broker DiGiorgio. Let's talk barbecue.
What's up, everybody? Coming to you live from the Studio 21 Podcast Café in Salem, New Hampshire. It's the Pit Life BBQ podcast where we talk everything barbecue and a lot of other topics that you normally talk around the pit. As always, I'm joined by the Barbecue Broker.
My dude.
What's up, homie?
How are you?
Nervous.
You're a wimp.
You were curled up in the fetal position driving the truck.
Now you're just talking shit.
Huge today.
What'd you cook this week?
Nothing. What'd you cook?
Nothing.
Good.
Let's get to it.
Today's show is brought to you by
Uncle Steve's Shake. Yo, you ever wonder why no one's coming to your barbecues, but they're lining up at Johnny's? Because Johnny's using Uncle Steve's Shake, and apparently you're not, which means one thing, Chrissy.
You better get you some.
Damn straight you do. Uncle Steve's Shake is handmade, uses only the finest ingredients, and comes in 12 amazing flavors. If you can eat it, Uncle Steve has a shake for it. If you have any shake questions, Uncle Steve has fantastic customer service. They'll walk you through all your shake needs. It's time to take your backyard game and competition game to that next level at Uncle Steve's Shake. Shake someone, everything. Chrissy, no teleprompter. I told you. I don't
you're
need
done with
one.
that.
You always make fun of me when I'm not here. No teleprompter. Just want to throw that out there. Let's go.
Let's get through this.
Today also brought to you by Two Guys Smoke Shop and TwoGuysCigars.com. Whether we are barbecuing or not, we always keep the smoke rolling thanks to our friends at TwoGuysCigars.com. Today we are smoking the United Cigar Firecracker. Thanks to our friends at TwoGuysCigars.com, we get to smoke some of the best cigars in the world, and so can you. Just visit TwoGuysCigars.com for your perfect barbecue companion. That's the number 2, guyscigars.com. And today also brought to you by
Backline Fabrication and Backline Smokers out of Austin, Texas. Mr. Ryan Newland just banging out some of the finest one-off custom pits, live fire devices. I mean, this guy takes things in your conversation that you guys have talked about, incorporates your ideas and things that you wouldn't even imagine into his build. You're not going to see one pit come out the same. They're all different, and the possibilities are endless. Check out Ryan Newland, Backline Fabrication in Austin, Texas, backlinefabrication.com. And this episode also brought to you by one of our newest members to the family,
Magna Chef and Magna Chef gloves. Well, I got the bruise going. I got the black and blue going on today.
Okay.
But our brother Alan Fonte of Magna Chef knows a little something about fire protection and fire prevention. He's a Miami-Dade firefighter who came up with these designed soup to nuts, these gloves. These gloves are incredible.
Yep.
Some of the, the silicone type gloves you had, they're hit or miss. Slippery, all the, not these. The design is flawless. Made of food-grade silicone, patented magnetic clips for easy on and off. Your glove don't go nowhere.
You hang them up.
Hang them up, easy right back in, and you're good to go.
Yep.
Heat rated up to 500 degrees, web fit for a firm grip. One size fits all if they fit these meat hooks.
He's cut meat hooks.
You're good. And
got 'em.
dishwasher safe, but most importantly,
America.
made right here in the US of A.
America.
Yeah.
So hit magnachef.com. Get yourself a pair of 2, one for the backyard, one for the trailer, one for the kitchen. Good for the missus.
And like I said before,
Promo code?
you can wrap briskets in these. They're tight enough where you can still feel the brisket. You don't have to waste a bunch of nitrile gloves, on and off. These things will do the job, man.
And at checkout, use promo code ROYAL21 for 15% off.
Yep.
So that's Magna Chef, Magna with an E, MAGNE, chef.com.
Is it time?
Well,
It is.
the chat
It's
the chat is blowing up right now. Everyone's
Let's
excited.
see.
What's up,
Kevin?
Max?
What's up, Max? By his Uncle Steve.
Crawdaddy.
C-Mac, Crawdaddy.
Juke.
Chrissy's in here.
Chrissy's in.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Chrissy.
William, Daddy Dutch, Gray, what's up?
Mike
Junior.
Faisal, Junior. Yep.
Jason, what's happening?
C-Mac in the
Claudia,
house.
Jeff. All right.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
All right.
Technically,
Yeah.
this gentleman, in the barbecue word, needs no introduction.
Are we getting into the brass
But
tacks?
I'm giving him one
Are we
anyway.
getting into the brass tacks right now?
Oh, hell yeah, we're getting into brass tacks, Jack.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know this, man. You've used his seasons. I'll guarantee most of yous have a bottle of something he creates in your pantry, in your barbecue trailer right now, guaranteed.
But do you know what he's up to today?
But you're going to find out because this episode is a long time coming. Ladies and gentlemen, world champion, YouTube personality, rub, sauce, injection, wing dust, manufacturer, all the above, goes by one name and one name only. Ladies and gentlemen, from Kosmos Q, Kosmo.
My dude. What's up, brother?
Love it, man.
How'd you do? Was that all
Darian,
right?
what's up, brother? Thank you so much for taking some time to join us, man.
Hey, well, thanks for having me, man. I love your energy. Absolutely freaking love it, man. Absolutely love it.
Long time. It's been a long time.
Long
coming,
time.
man.
You did, like I said, this is truly an honor. You know, been using your stuff a long time. And like we were speaking before we were on air, how this show all came about. We were sitting at our friend Chris's house, and we were talking about rubs when Facebook Live was a brand new thing. And everyone's like, a couple days later, what the hell was that on Facebook? And it was entertaining. And I'm like, all right, maybe start a podcast and check it out. But those ribs we were cooking was with, oddly enough, was with your product.
And I believe
your rubs in one of the rib glazes. I believe it was the
cherry apple habanero
Yeah.
is the shit. It's
Yeah.
awesome. That
But
is my
so
favorite
it all
glaze
kind
right
of
there.
comes full circle here, But like I said, first off, thank you. It's an honor to speak with you. But let's get right down to it because we
only got 45
this
minutes.
time goes
And it goes
quick,
fast.
and we have a lot to cover. So first and foremost, who is Kosmo?
Oh, man.
You have to
I
ask
don't
him a hard
know.
question.
I don't know if we got 45 minutes to cover all that bullshit. But it's so funny when I was growing up. Where I come from, everybody's got a nickname. Everybody. I mean, everybody. Cheese bag, taco, God rest his soul. And my nickname was given to me because my last name, nobody could pronounce it, Kosravi. So they just called me Cosmo or Cos for short or, something.
Yeah.
But it finally landed on Cosmo. And funny story, I was this is back before YouTube, before Facebook, before all that stuff. We had a couple barbecue forums, and one of them was Barbecue Brethren, and everybody said Q. What are you queuing this week? So I said, well, shit. I'll just call it Cosmos Q. And that kind of rode with that. But when I first started going into business, accidentally went into business. One of the co-packers I was dealing with, they said, well, what's your business name? And I didn't have a business. I was lying out my ass. I was telling them all kinds of shit. And I said, Cosmos Q, like, you don't know. And ever since then, it's stuck. So we incorporated at the time. We've switched to Cosmos Q LLC. And so the story goes on. So.
Nice. Yeah, let's see who else is Gray. Oh, Brittany's in the chat. Brittany, thank you so much. I owe you one way, shape, or form for this. But I talked you up good to the boss.
Uncle Steve, what's up? Daddy Dutch. What's up, guys?
So, what made you go into the rub in the seasons? way of it. I know I've heard actually. Yeah, we'll start with that. Then we'll get into the steak competition story because that's funny as hell.
Oh shit! Well, when I first started competing, I believe it. I still can't remember. I have the pictures out here, but I don't know if it was 2004 or 2006. I started going to the grocery store in Oklahoma. You got Walmart, so started going to Walmart, and everything on the shelf was just absolute shit. And I was like, golly. So, and like I said, back then there was no YouTube. You couldn't go, look for a recipe, and no one in the competition circuit would say shit to anybody. I mean, there was no secrets. They would share absolutely nothing. And so I just started making my own rubs, and shortly, started having some luck with it. And somebody'd say, "Hey, man, can I buy some of that?" And I'm the guy that I don't say no to shit, especially when it comes to making money. I was like, hell yeah, man. So I started making up some rubs, and then, I'd pass them out. So I'd take them to competition. They'd buy a pound here, a pound there. Then I started shipping them. But as one of my daughters at the time, told her second grade class, my dad, for what does your dad do day?
My dad ships weight.
She told the class that my dad bags up powder and sends it to his friends all over the United States.
I see that coming a mile away.
So needless to say, you got called into the principal's office shortly after that.
But you're funny. The principal was about to call me, but I was lucky enough. My wife was a school teacher at the time, and she taught at that school. And they called her into the office, and they was like, "Hey, we know what your husband does, but your daughter's delivering a different message. So you may want to put some context behind that."
As long as it doesn't look like flour, I think we're in good shape.
Oh, man.
My dad's a pharmaceutical sales rep.
Yeah, right.
Independent.
He works from home.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
So where did you do most of your competing? Because you do mostly in Oklahoma. Did you go to Texas? Was it, IBCA?
Mostly in the early days, it was mostly Oklahoma and Kansas, and then we started migrating out to New Mexico, Colorado, Missouri, Arkansas, Texas. So we kind of kept pretty close. I always liked to, because back then when I was doing it, I still had a full-time job in the hazwaste industry. So I'd have to, on a Saturday after the competition, I was always trying to make it home within, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. Because I had to go back to work Monday, and I always like to have a day just to calm down and, clean up all the bullshit that I created, and, so.
Yeah. So you used to travel around you used to have a food, you had left that job from I've seen in one of your previous videos, and then you started the food truck. In that food truck, you doubled as a comp trailer, I think you said, right? Yep.
I used my food truck as a comp trailer. And so when I left that job, I started running the food truck and then shipping out, the Cosmos seasoning.
Yep.
At the time, it wasn't Cosmos. It wasn't. I mean, it was big by those standards, but it dang sure wasn't where it is today. So I was like, hell, I got extra time. Might as well sling some Q, So I did that, and then and then I looked up one day and I was like, holy shit. This is making up about 80% of my work, but only about 20% of the revenue. This, it didn't take me long to figure out this bullshit.
Yeah.
There's a lot easier ways to make money than that. So, So I sold that damn thing.
Yeah. There's a kind of different setups for a food truck and for a comp trailer. Different setups you have, I think, in there for, equipment and countertop space and.
Yeah. The comp trailer scene now has definitely come a long way since when I first started. When I first started, who had the nicest tent?
Yeah.
And back then you only got a 10 by 10 spot. So you got a 10 by 10 tent, and then all your bullshit went in under that tent.
Yeah.
what would you say your favorite smoker or vessel when you're going and you're doing like the 4 meats? What do you use a different smoker for different meats? Do you kind of have like you roll around with a Jambo or something? Or I seen your carpet. You one of your older videos, you were rearranging your backyard. And you were trying to drag that comp pit around. You're like, this thing is freaking heavy. It's heavier than it looks. Had the big, off-road tires on it. Just trying to get it up from the grass.
It's going to fit from here to here.
Yeah, I'm going to put that here under this, so it's covered. Yeah, but what has it changed from the earlier days to what you're using or what?
Oh yeah, 100%. In the early days, I used the what we would dub as the Tin Man. It was a cooker that a town here in Oklahoma, they made, their FFA department made, and I used that for the first, 4, 5, 6, 8 comps, and then from there I moved over to WSMs and a Weber kettle.
Can't go wrong
So
with
that was in the early days.
Yeah.
And that was long. I don't even think Jambo was selling pits then.
Probably
And
not
even if they was, I couldn't have bought one anyway back then. But nowadays I don't compete that much. I had a mind shift. I was at a comp, and back in the day when you went to a comp, it used to be like $200-$400. That's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then it went from that to like $1,000, and then it went to like $1,500. I was sitting there at a comp after I busted my ass all weekend. I was like, holy shit, man! What would happen if I took $1,500 and didn't compete? Because I was competing every weekend. Every weekend I could. That's what, $6,000 a month.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What would happen if I took that money?
It's like 5
hired
mortgages.
some people, and then did some Facebook advertising,
Right.
and kaboom! It blew up. It
was
blew
it.
up big time.
Especially with those old algorithms, man.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
I missed them.
Oh, man.
I'd run your ass down anywhere, man.
That's fantastic.
But with speaking of the competitions, that's how a certain competition is how you indirectly got into the steak and then later became steak world champion, which is a funny story.
Complete accident.
Because they wouldn't let you compete.
Yep, they wouldn't. They wouldn't let me compete.
Wait, what do you mean?
It's your story, brother.
So
What does he mean, Cosmo? What does he mean?
So I was, they used to say, well, we have 40 spots for teams. Well, and I was hitting them up like, hey man, because somebody always drops out, right? Shit always happens on a Thursday night or Friday morning, and somebody can't make it. So I was like, hey man, let's load up and go. No one that when we get there, they're going to say, oh, no, come on in. Well, shit, we got there. They said, you can pound rocks, buddy. So me and my buddy Country John, he was cooking with me. We sitting there and he's like, man, there's a steak competition right down the road. Let's go to that. And I was like, all right, let's go. We're already loaded up. The beer's cold, ain't no sense in going back home and drinking. So we drove on down the street to a steak competition. And I remember pulling up and I was like, hey man, this was on a Friday afternoon. I was like, hey man, are you sure there's a steak competition? He's like, it says it right here. It says it's right here. So it was actually in a Votech parking lot. And so we was like, screw it. We pitched tent. At the time I had a little bitty RV. I can't remember the name of those, but just a little bitty toy hauler. So we pitched tent at that Votech parking lot, and there wasn't a soul around on Friday at 6:00 at night. And we was like, screw it. Well, so we sat there and drank beer in the parking lot till we passed out later that night. And sure enough, we woke up in the morning. There's no one there. And I'm like, by this time, I'm knee deep in Country John because he, and he said, man, I swear, like the paper says it's here. So
The paper.
about
The paper.
about 8 o'clock that morning. Oh my gosh. Everybody just started raining in, and like the parking lot filled up in like 36 minutes. And I was like, okay. So, and then all of a sudden, there was Dustin and Joe. They were world champions. They parked over. And so, you know me, man, I'm like, hey, man, I'm just going to go ask these guys. Hey, we don't know what we're doing. This is the first time we ever done this. And they're like, are you Cosmo? I said, yeah. They're like, what the hell are you doing here? I was like, I don't know. Ask John. So they were very helpful. They taught us. I mean, we got the absolute dog shit kicked out of us. And after tasting one of their steaks, I was like, oh my gosh, like these guys are taking it like, to the next level. And all of a sudden, me and John were hooked. And next thing you know, he's like, F barbecue. Let's go cook steak competitions. So that year, this is about halfway through the barbecue season. We finished out the rest of the season. We still did some barbecue events, but we cooked like, I want to say like 18 steak competitions. And because I loved it. You could throw your shit in the back of the truck
quick.
and just drive up there.
They're quick. You don't have to do it all night. It's a hell of a lot cheaper. You same day in and out. Yeah. You don't have to, sleep out overnight. Well, you did that night specifically, but you don't typically have to sleep overnight. You just roll in. Dude, I'll tell you right now, I did my first KCBS with my boys this past year, and on Saturday was the SCA.
Mm-hmm.
It was your steak video you did with the hasty bake. We did it that same way. Duck fat, boom, turn it, boom, flip it, scrape it, flip it. I mean, it was like everyone had a job, and it was like a pit stop at a race or something. It's like
yeah.
And dude, that was our first comp ever for anything, for any barbecue. And I mean, we took 13th out of 25.
Hey, first time.
Hey, that's good. That's
We
good,
did,
man.
we beat some dudes that rolled in from like Jersey from Jersey to New Hampshire just for the day. We beat a couple of those guys, and it was a pretty good feeling. And I was like, Cosmo.
Going up against an American Royal and Jack Daniels winner,
Billy Gillespie
from Smoking Hogs. You know, you were in some company.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we were in some company actually. No, it was a great video. So that helped a lot.
Well, thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. So while we're talking about the videos, because we'll get to the seasonings and all that in just a minute. What made you start doing the YouTube? Because I've been watching for a while now, and then I was devastated about. I don't even remember how, but the I Quit video. I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna watch? Because you found, I think, that niche of the time of a video, and then you're just, your energy in the videos, in the time, it just worked perfect. But what made you start doing the YouTube videos?
Well, that's a great question. The one thing I realized, I think early on, and I think it's part of our success, and even to this day, we still don't have it mastered, and we still try, is there was such a disconnect between the backyard cook and the competition cook. And I was like, holy shit, man, if, the education is missing. So if we could just educate people how we use our products and make it fun, just like we're hanging out in the backyard drinking beer, that might work. So, and, I was like, screw it, let's do it. So that's what we did. And it was painful. I don't know if anybody's ever shot a video.
It's hard.
Yeah.
The editing alone is brutal. John doesn't really know editing.
I film to edit, so I'll film and just piece it all together. And it's, hey, I'll be back in a minute. Click next clip. And they all splice together on my channel.
I do the opposite, which I don't even know what's correct, but I film in segments thinking of the editing in my head. Yeah. And that really doesn't work either. So
and when you do that, so you assume the role of cook, and producer and director.
Brutal.
And often in the early ones, I found that I would leave a lot of critical information out. And then it hit me. I was like, oh, because people would say, well, you didn't say that. So that's when I would always say, you know, hey, watch this video twice. Watch it one time with the audio on, and then one time with the audio completely off, and just watch what I'm doing. Because a lot of the times the shit that I know, I assume everybody knows it. And that's not the case, you know? So there's a lot of things I say, or a lot of things I do that I don't say. And that's where, you know, when we released our DVDs early on, I think we was the first people to ever do that competition DVD series. That was a selling point for us because we could say, hey man, you can pause, fast forward, and rewind. Because when you go to a competition class live, you're at the mercy of the actual notes you took. And that's all you got, you know, unless you find somebody cool like Travis Clark, you know, that you can message him later and he'll fill these gaps in for you.
Yeah.
But that's what we say. Hey man, pause, fast forward, and rewind. Let's do this. And I knew they finally landed. I got our reserve grand champion down in Texas, and the guy that got grand champion, we were sitting up there getting pictures and, you know, had our arms around each other and, you know, all the posing bullshit. And he leaned over. He goes, man, I got to thank you for those DVDs. I used everything you did in that DVD. And I just beat your ass with it.
That's funny, actually.
Well, hey, at least you know your stuff works, right?
Right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
proven.
No, it does work.
Did he use your
I don't care
seasonings?
what anybody says. I think I can't say it. I joke with our team. I'm going to change our tag sign from "It Just Wins" to "Cosmos." We fixed the effed up barbecue or something like that.
I wanted to ask you, how did you come up with "It Just Wins"? Was that just?
Oh, that's a great story. I remember when I came out with our injections, and I went to a competition, and this is when I realized that the barbecue community could turn on you in a dime. I went to that competition, and the only one that would speak to me there was Donnie Teal and Scott Key. That's it. I'm talking, there's 50 teams here, and no one would talk to me because I came out with an injection. And, oh, man, I don't know if you've ever had that feeling like the entire mob turns against you. Like it put me into a depression.
Just because of the injection?
100% because of the injection.
Right, because people weren't injecting, or because there was a specific one that they used, and then you came out with one.
Exactly.
Who are you to
Bingo.
come out with injection?
Who are you to, you know, do this? And I was just like, my gosh, I thought we lived in America, man. You know,
like they invented phosphates or something.
But at the time, I was. It's funny you mentioned that. I was bagging up little baggies of injection, and I was passing out 8 balls to everybody at the competition. And you know, everybody would say, you know, oh thanks, you know, or something, you know. And I remember one of the guys that wasn't at the competition, and he's a good friend of mine. He told me, he said, man, I'm going to tell you, a lot of those guys dump your injection on the ground and said, F Cosmo.
Oh my God.
And I was just,
that's hurtful.
I was devastated.
That's mean.
And so from that time, man, I just kind of, Donnie Teal, I don't know if you know Donnie. Donnie's a fucking monster, excuse my language, in this universe. And I said, shit. So I just stood in the back of when they would do awards, I'd stand in the back with Donnie. And Donnie stands in the way back. And Donnie doesn't stand around people either. He doesn't like anybody to be around him. But he would let me stand by him, you know. Probably felt sorry for my goofy ass, but, you know, Donnie's a great guy. And it hit me. I was like, oh, my gosh. Like, I went to a comp, you know, got 2 calls. Then I got the next one I got 3 calls, and then 4 calls, and then, grand champion, reserve grand champion, third or whatever. And it hit me. I was sitting there. I was like, you know what? And this is the spite in me. I said, I'm going to put on the back of my shirt, "It just wins." So all these sumbitches can see me walking up there.
Yep.
And at the time, hashtags just came out on Twitter. They weren't even on Facebook yet.
Yep.
So I put hashtag "It just wins," and I'd walk my slow ass all the way to the front. And that's obviously that's not me now. I'm not one of those guys, but I needed to.
You had to prove a point. You had to prove a point at the time.
Yeah.
It was necessary. It was a necessary evil.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where "It just wins" came from.
And that was a big Rome. That was a big Rome question.
Big Rome question? Nice.
He called me on the way and he goes, make sure you ask him how he came up with hashtag "It just wins."
Yeah.
That's exactly how.
We had questions before we even started the show.
Yeah, and we had Kyle, what's up? Big Kano's in the house. I believe getting it.
What's
Kurt
up, Kyle?
Special is in the house. Chris.
Alex,
Brother CJ, which
My CJ. Yeah, CJ.
Because
I
you
love
guys
CJ.
did that episode. That was the actually first time I, other than your videos, like heard you in the, what the hell are we doing?
Talk. It's a show.
A show form on his hot seat when you guys were at the YouTube convention. It was you, CJ, Justin from Baby Back Maniac, and Greg from Ballistic Barbecue. That was a great conversation that night. But getting into your seasonings and everything, there's just too much to. There's not enough time in a day to go one by one, but you have your regular line that pretty much everybody is familiar with. The SVG, the Dirty Bird, the Cow Cover, the Spicy Killer Bee. But you also went with a paleo and keto one.
There's a need for it. There's a market for it.
Absolutely. But is that what it was? Just the health trend of everybody just steered you in that direction to come out with those?
No, well, actually, it was we would have a lot of people, call and say, "Hey, man, we want to try your rubs, but we can't have sugar." And we also get people that say, "Hey, we want to try your stuff, but we can't have salt." But I don't, as anybody knows, when you take salt out, like the price goes absolutely through the roof.
Yeah.
Absolutely through the roof. So I was like, hell, we can take sugar out. And, I don't mind eating healthy because I've tried some of the sugar-free paleo keto ones. I thought, man, these taste like shit.
Agreed.
So I was like, well, shit, I'll make one that doesn't taste like shit. So that's what we did.
So you come up with all the stuff on your own. You're sitting in there just freaking brainstorming.
Man,
you got a team of people helping you. I mean, in the beginning, you were probably like, you're just the spice lab, just making. But you have such a variety of stuff. The glaze and then the sauces. What's the inspiration to move from the rub to the glaze or to do sauces, or what inspiration drove you to do certain flavors? I guess.
Well,
anything stand out?
Honestly, it's I've always felt, I was always told, shut up, sit down, you're stupid, you're not going to amount to nothing. And, I just had society dumb me down from opening my mouth. And I always thought that every time I opened my mouth, I was wrong. And that was, I'm wrong a lot. Don't, but, you only got to be right once is what I believe. But honestly, like, sometimes it's hard for me even to go eat at a restaurant because when people start bragging on shit, I get this probably makes no sense to anybody, but I get a mental picture in my head and I can taste in my mouth what it's supposed to taste like.
Yeah,
I got you.
So when somebody says, hey, you got to go to this steakhouse, they got the best steak in the world. It's this, it's that, and they got these French fries, and they got this shit, and all this stuff. And then I go and eat there, and I'm like, oh my God, I could fix this in 5 seconds. Like, I can't believe they're peddling this shit, you know. But, you know, they're doing great at it. I'm not trying to be, you know, talk crap on anybody, but then I get something in my head. I was sitting in Hattie B's in Nashville, Tennessee. We was at Memphis in May. No, it wasn't Memphis in May. Where the hell was we at? I was in Tennessee doing some bullshit. But we went to Hattie B's, and I tried their hot chicken. I was like, I got my buddy on the phone. He's a food scientist. I said, hey man, let's make a Nashville hot wing dust. He goes, oh my gosh, I never thought of it. And I was like, here's what I want it to taste like. Da, 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 da. And by the time I got back, I was like, this kills. In my opinion, I'll put that shit against anybody in the hot chicken world. And so, you know, to cut it short is I taste it in my head. Mm-hmm. And then I know that this is the path to what I need to do to get there. Our cherry habanero barbecue sauce, it took 18 months to come up with that.
Wow.
Dang.
Our cherry apple rib candy, mm-hmm. That one was a little quicker because I understood cherries at the time. It took probably 8 months. And, you know, and because I want to taste, in my head, I was thinking the best cherry pie you've ever had mm-hmm. with a kick. And you got to taste the cherry.
Got to taste the cherry. That's the hard part.
And it's extremely difficult to drive a cherry taste, mm-hmm. a cherry flavor. It's extremely difficult because just putting cherries in there doesn't do it.
Yeah,
I found that out the hard way.
We use like 2 different mixtures of cherry mash, and then we started using some other ingredients, cherry ingredients that make that would just pop, just explode it. And the second I tasted it, I was like, that's it right there.
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean about that picture in your head that you create before you go out. Growing up Italian, you know, I've had, you know, some of the best Italian, home cooking Italian food growing up. Going out to restaurants to eat Italian has always been difficult for me.
Oh, man, I imagine.
And I imagine. I feel like that with barbecue now that my palate is more advanced than it was 10 years ago, obviously. Yeah. And it's hard to, at least around here, it's hard to go out for good barbecue in New England as it is. You have your pockets, of course.
Yeah, you got the
but
pockets.
You always have that preconceived notion like, oh, his brisket was awesome, and they're using a J&R oiler, you know. Yeah. Get over there and you're going to try it. And, you know, and you get there and you're like, yeah, it's all right. Why is it shaved and served in a boat?
Yeah. Fries are good.
The cucumber salad was great. You know, but dude, that's awesome. I love
J&R oiler.
J&R oiler. What do you think of those?
The very first pit I learned to cook on.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, I've been scoping the M grills lately because I'm thinking mm-hmm. about building out a kit because I own a catering company. The wife and I mm-hmm. are thinking about building out a kitchen, our own catering kitchen. Mm. And right now I run a 500 stick burner, but I'm thinking that might not get approved by the local fire station to back that puppy up and cook indoors. So I'm scoping the M grills. Those seem pretty decent. You've worked on those at all or no?
No, I actually haven't. I actually owned a J&R back in the day, back when I very first started Cosmos. I bought the little smokehouse or little red smokehouse. Mm-hmm. Mine wasn't red; it was black. Okay. I can't remember the actual name for it. I want to say it's called a little red smokehouse.
Still a rotisserie as well?
No, it's not. It's a rotisserie, but it's a cabinet style cooker. It's still 6 feet tall and 3.5 feet wide, 4 feet deep.
Where the heck did you put that thing? Because those are typically indoors. You don't really tow those bad boys around.
Man, you're not gonna believe my goofy ass. I bought that thing for nothing, and I put that sumbitch in my garage, and I completely tore it apart.
Oh my god!
Completely tore it apart, and I would hook my truck onto it. It had wheels on it, and pull it out, and then I'd use my truck to push it back in when I was done.
That's pretty awesome, because those things aren't exactly mobile typically.
No,
easily movable.
They're like 2,000 or 3,000 pounds.
Yeah. Necessity is the father of innovation.
Those don't really come on casters either. So, it's hard to get those things out.
All right. So we got the comp circuit, we got the rubs and the seasonings and the YouTube, which the funniest one of your videos I've enjoyed was your biscuits and gravy video. Okay? Now, he breaks out the local tube of breakfast sausage, grilling that up on the grill. Then he breaks out the tube of Grands, Pillsbury Grands. And then he just looks at the camera and goes, I'm going to stop you right now. I don't want to listen to any of the bullshit. He goes, this is how we're doing it. You were talking camping breakfast, and you ain't making no flour straight out. He goes, this is how we're doing it. And I was sitting there howling. I was just laughing so hard. My wife came in the room. What are you laughing? I go, you need to watch this. Then I got her hooked on your videos too. But you have now moved to somewhat of our realm. As of, I believe it was January 4th of this year, you released the first episode of Kosmo
Unfiltered.
Unfiltered, yeah.
Your own podcast. It was on the tip of my tongue. I was getting there.
What I mean. That's why we have each other's backs.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So why the podcast route, in which, let me first preference of, I absolutely love it. I listened to the latest one of, the owner's mindset this morning on my way to work. So I'm assuming you drop everything on Tuesday mornings or late Monday evenings, because it was there at 5:30 when I hopped in the car.
I'll say we have a pretty good idea of what it's about, but why don't you tell our audience what the mission and goal is behind?
Because it's not necessarily barbecue related. There'll be some barbecue talk, but you took a completely left turn here, or right turn, however you want to look at it.
It's funny because I saw some Navy SEALs sitting around a campfire one time, and they're just smoking cigars, drinking, telling stories. And that's how I see our community. So I was like, what the, if we got 10 people that said, I'll pay $10,000 to hang out with Kosmo, and sit around a fire. And I looked at them and I said, ask me anything. Now I'm sure the barbecue questions would come up, but then it would, because that's the shallow end, right? How do you cook this? How do you cook that? What do you do? This, that, and the other. But I'm the type of person, I want to know how. I know what you do, but I want to know how you do it. And that's when I started talking to people, and they're like, "Oh my God, babe," because I get. It's funny. People call me and say, "Hey, man, I'm." Matter of fact, one happened last night. Guy called me at 8:00 at night. "Hey, man, I got this going on. What do you think?" And next thing you know, I'm sitting there. And I feel like a mentor / therapist. But all I'm doing is giving my advice wrapped around hey man, you know the answer, you just got to get to it. And so somebody said, well, you should do a podcast. And we kicked it around for, oh my gosh, probably 2 years. And it was just, we were growing so fast and I didn't have the time. And now we built a team that surround us. And next thing I know, I'm sitting around with my thumb up my ass and I don't know what I'm doing. And so I was like, okay, let's do a podcast. And the podcast it's not all about business, and it's not all about life, and it's not all about barbecue. It's all about life and living. And if we was sitting around a campfire and you asked me a question, I'm going to give it to you unfiltered. Anybody that knows me knows that I probably, my wife is a pastor. And, I'm a Christian, but I cuss a little bit. So that's kind of where the Kosmo Unfiltered came out. But
it's like a warning, basically. It's kind of warning.
Yeah.
It's like a warning label.
But I was like, I just turned 50 years old. I've been through some shit in life. It's just my shit. It's just my story. Everybody's got shit. And that's when I started realizing we all have the same, troubles, problems, concerns, all the shit we get into. It's just, how do you deal with it? So that's what we deal with on the podcast. It's very raw, unfiltered, and we're going to talk about what I want to talk about and what I'm feeling or thinking in that moment. And we're not going to candy coat it. It's just going to be straight, and you just get me up front.
Yeah, and like I said, they're absolutely incredible, and I went through all of them in pretty much a day because, like I said, I'm a mailman by trade, so I got the earbuds in all day long. But they're only like 10, 15 minutes maybe, so they go quick. But it's the stories you're telling and the information you're giving is just so captivating. It's incredible. From your beginning and what you went through as a child. I don't want to tell any stories. I want everyone to go subscribe to the podcast and give it a listen because it's
amazing.
It's amazing's the perfect word for it.
I'm 2.5 in right now, and I'm like, I can't wait to go finish the rest of them. So
just on the titles alone, the first one, More Than Barbecue. Second, Winning the World Championship. Then you get into your 3 Fs of freedom, family, finances. Then do the hard stuff first. DNA doesn't matter. Biggest enemy is you. You give trust, but then you earn mistrust. Then obviously today's title was the owner's mindset. But yeah, everybody give this a listen. You'll look at things at a whole different perspective.
Mindset-wise, the business psychology behind it, the mindset, in what drives you, all these different factors are what helped you, create, in what you've built today. It's inspiring. So pulling down that curtain and letting everybody in is absolutely amazing, and it's huge. So thanks for doing that, and keep doing it,
Well,
brother.
thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Keep doing it,
That means
brother.
a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and like I said, there's so
much more.
There's so much more. So,
But we're out of time.
we're up against it, and I know you're up against it
Chrissy's
you
giving
had
us the eye
you
again.
got
I'm not. I feel bad.
something
for
to
you
do
this time.
afterwards.
Chrissy's ready to roll the
And,
music on us.
But man, Darian, thank you so much. Like I said, this was an absolute honor. This was a blast to speak with you. I'd like to maybe set something up again later on, a couple months down the road. We'll check your schedule and get more into it. But man, like I said, thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this was
We know you're busy, dude. So.
this was definitely it. You were definitely on the top of this list of people in the barbecue world that I would dream of speaking with.
See, it was worth sending them an email once a quarter, wasn't it?
That's it. Eventually, someone's gonna. But I will say this: every time now, I've been ghosted by a bunch of people and nothing get back. But every time, whoever was running the thing always got back to me that he's out of town for the next month. He's doing some demos here, or the schedule just doesn't work. It was always a nice email response that acknowledged that I did reach out. We have a scheduling conflict, and give us a shout back in a couple months, and and then whenever I got the email from Brittany the other day, I'm like, oh my God, it's going to happen. So
your team exudes professionalism,
yes.
Kosmo. So
They are amazing. Brittany is fantastic. There's no way I could do this without her. And actually, she notified me right before this, and she goes, I think you ought to give their listeners a coupon code to the site if they want.
Yes, as a matter of fact. See, Brittany was wondering that I needed to remember it, and I almost forgot. I actually remembered it earlier during the day. But she goes, Cosmo sometimes get distracted. I go, oh, I know how it is. I get distracted too. Sure as shit, I got distracted. So, yeah, thank you so much. You have a promo code for our listeners and viewers.
Yeah. If they use coupon code podcast in all caps, they can get 10% off of anything at kosmosq.com. And if any of your listeners want to check out our podcast, you can find us at kosmounfiltered.com. We have the live video, the blog on there. You can listen to it on Spotify, Apple, all the freaking platforms now. I don't even know how many there are. So yeah, we would love to be a part of the great things you all are doing. And man, this has been awesome. Dude. I gotta say, I've been on some podcasts, and this was a treat to be on. Dude, so
that means the world coming from you. Thank you so much, brother.
We'll be high-fiving all the way back to the cars right now. Hold up hold
up 1 second, unless you got to absolutely run, because I know you have something afterward at 5 o'clock. So if you got to leave, feel free. We'll catch up.
You got me till 5 o'clock.
Hold up a minute while we do the outro.
Outro real quick, brother. See, we already started the high five.
Already high five.
We haven't even got off the ass yet. But man, oh my God,
that was a treat.
That
was a freaking treat.
That was absolutely.
And I hope you guys enjoyed the show today.
This was a long time coming, and this was an absolute dream of mine, dream of Greg's.
The show and a half is what I call it. It was a show and a half.
Like I said, we all know him. We all have at least one bottle of something he made in our cabinets. I know Chef Johnny is the brand ambassador. Chef Johnny from Texas Style Barbecue and Cuisine. I know CJ's on Team Cosmo. Just awesome products, awesome guy. Doesn't forget where he's from. Always puts that forward. And that's huge. I'm saying, guys, seriously, go check out on wherever you get the podcast. Go to the Cosmo Unfiltered. You won't be disappointed in the listen. You're gonna get a whole new outlook on different things, just the way he puts it.
100%.
But yeah, you guys know where we're all at. That's it for this week. Catch us on wherever podcasts are found. Catch the video on Facebook and YouTube. Or YouTube, hit that subscribe button, notification bell. Have all our episodes right there at the fingertips. Find all our social medias listed down below. Facebook, questions or comments, please send them to Pit Life BBQ Podcast at gmail.com. And like always, please subscribe, like, rate, and review. Hit that share button.
What's going on next week?
As of right now, nothing. We'll figure that out during the week.
We usually do.
We've got a couple feelers.
That's it.
But
until next week.
Keep the smoke rolling.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.